know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that's one measure of being productive.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes when you get started in something, especially when you're running a business, you create your business plan and you get started in something, and then you realize that it needs to change, or that your priorities change, or it takes longer, or you want to do this instead of that. I think just making progress, just taking one step.
Yeah.
Taking one step is being productive. You guys don't know, we have the Business Project podcast, or the businessproject.com was actually started because John and I both have a bunch of people all the time that are like, I'm starting a business. How do I pick a name? Or how do I register my domain? Or how do I build a website? Or, all of these things. And no matter what type of business you have, whether it's landscaping or accounting or social media, influencer, a lot of the basics are the same. And so we're why don't we just take all of the basics and put it in a course? It's a lot of vision casting, which I think as leaders is really hard for us because we see where we want to go. We see the end results. We've given this vision of, yes, we're here now, but we see the building on the hill, but the building doesn't exist yet. The Business Project Podcast.
Business can be complicated.
We break it down so regular people like us
can understand and find success. I'm John Crespo, accountant and consultant.
I'm Kacie Bryant, marketer and event planner.
If you run a business
or want to run a business,
welcome to the show.
We're live on all the things.
Sell more, work less as we communicate through this chaos. Sell more, work less. That's for you out there.
Yeah, sell more, work less. I like that.
Wouldn't that be great if we all can do that?
Yeah.
Sell more and work less?
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. Today, we are talking all about how to price your products and services. First, we're going to talk about the difference between a product and a service because they're different. And then we're going to talk about pricing, and then we're going to give you some extra fun tools and tips. So we're so excited to have you guys with us today. This is like
on
our
a good
70-somethingth episode.
Wait a minute. We're veterans in this game already?
Yeah, and we're still messing up, not going live right.
Because we're real.
Yeah.
There's no need to portray like a perfect podcast because we're not. We're regular people.
We are. And
we do what we got to do.
We're just lucky to be here today with all the things going on. So
we get to do this.
Yeah. And we're not live, I don't think, on Facebook. So sorry, Facebookers, but we have Instagram going and we have YouTube going. So we'll figure out and get that fixed for next week. Yeah. What's up, Game Gear? Thank you for joining us.
Game Gear.
Sir. Okay. So
a loyal follower and listener, Mr. Game Gear.
Yeah.
Appreciate you for sure.
Find him on YouTube, Game Gear 585.
Yep.
All right. So sell more, work less. What do we mean by that? Let's start off with a story. We did a podcast about selling with a story. Story with selling. I don't remember what it was called. It was a clever one and I thought of it, but I don't remember it now.
Well, storytelling and selling.
There we go.
Storytelling and selling.
So we're going to lead by example and we're going to talk about, we're going to lead in with a story. So I had a friend at one point he had a really great piece of property on a super busy road. And he's like, I want to sell things. I want to sell big trees. And people driving by on this busy road can get by my big trees. And, there's like apple trees and lemon trees and oak trees and all the trees in the spring, especially everybody's like decorating their yard with trees. And so he did it. And he's like, he reached out to me a couple months later and he's like, man, I've only sold a couple of trees. People stop all the time and look and walk around and ask me questions, but I'm just not selling a bunch. And so I recommended to him that he added some lower priced items and, smaller trees or house plants and gifts to go with the trees. And because what happens is you need you need a funnel with
funnel.
with your sales. You can't just bam. I mean, sometimes you can. It depends on. I can think of very few successful companies or organizations that can just do one product and that's it. One expensive product and that's it. You will do much better if you have a entry product, which is a smaller, less commitment thing. And so he did it, and people were able to go stop by, and instead of having to commit to this big, huge tree that they might not even be able to fit in their car, they can then grab houseplants and flowers and smaller things.
Smart.
So, yeah. So that kind of is leading into the conversation of how do you price? How do you price your products and services? First of all, let's talk about the difference, Mr. Definition Man. What is
product and service?
Yeah, the difference between a product and a service.
That's a pretty easy one that I don't mind tackling. All right, so a product is you're selling a widget, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say these microphones here. This is a product. If I had a store, I sold a bunch of microphones and microphone stands. I'm selling those products, right? A service is when you're actually doing something that in turn you get paid for. So whether it's a landscaping service, plumbing, electrical, consulting, bookkeeping, those are all services because you're doing something to generate that revenue. So a product is selling a widget, and a service is selling something that requires requires labor. Yeah, labor to get a return on that. That
was good. Look at you. Didn't even prepare that,
nope.
Mr. Dictionary.
That's the way it works.
Yes. So, and products and services are done very differently.
Yes.
I feel like they're taxed differently. They're, they're priced differently. And so let's talk a little bit about pricing a product, and then we'll talk about pricing a service. Because this is something that we're in step 2, by the way. I don't think we said that in the introduction. We're helping you guys build. Step 3. Thank you. Helping you build your business plan. And if you guys want to dig deeper into this, whether you are a brand new business or you're an existing business that never really did this well, we have these courses all on the business project. So if you go you can dig deep. If you look at the link in the description of this podcast, there's a link, and you go to www. You have to have the www in there for some reason. We're working on that, but thebusinessproject.com, and you can sign up for free. You get the first 3 lessons. So up until this step, you get completely free, and it has homework. It has a business plan template, like a simple one that's not crazy and has all the extra things that you probably won't or don't need to know. And then it has up to 3 video lessons you can learn by watching, learn by listening, and learn by reading. Because
people learn differently.
They do.
So we kind of cater to your learning style.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is the step 3 of that. And in it, we get into way more detail about products and services and pricing. And we'll talk a little bit more at the end about a special thing that we have on there for you guys. But, when you're trying to price your product, let's talk about a product first.
Yeah. Let's talk about that tree seller.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
I love it.
So the tree seller
yeah.
was catering when the tree seller was just selling those big trees. They were catering to one segment of the market, right? To the people that wanted to buy a big tree. And obviously that's a small percentage of potential buyers, right? So they have to really want to buy a big tree if they're going to buy from this person. In order to generate more traffic, right, to their shop or their whatever location, right, to sell more and probably bring in more people that may be interested in the big tree, because the goal is to sell your high value product, right, your high price product. But the only way to sell more of that is to get more people in the top of the funnel, right? So how did he get more people in? How did you recommend it? By offering lower priced, kind of like enticing things to get people in to shop around more and hopefully leave with some of the higher priced items too. But you're generating foot traffic. So if you're selling a product, You got to think about it that way. What is the main thing you want to sell? But how are you going to get more people in to be able to sell that main thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need to create a variety of products at a variety of different prices. And so another thing to consider when you're doing this, and one thing that I've seen a lot, you probably have too with businesses starting out, is, and we'll get into services is even harder, I feel like, but we'll get into how to price your product, because you don't want to, I think a lot of times you think of, so let's say bracelets as an example. That's an example we use on the actual course. So say you have bracelets and you're making this bracelet by yourself, and you're paying for the beads and the string and the charms. And so you're like, okay, so the bead and the string and the charms cost me $5 to make. And so I want to make a profit off of it, so I sell them for $10. Well, what happens when you're further along in the process and you've got thousands and thousands of people ordering these bracelets, because our goal is to grow, right? So you've got all these people that are ordering your bracelets, and you're like, I can't do this out of my garage anymore. I need to get a building. And then I also need to hire somebody to help me make these bracelets. Well, if you haven't factored that in to the beginning of your creating your bracelets, then you're going to be in the negative, because now here you are paying for electricity, paying for rent, and then having to pay $6 an hour. Obviously we don't do that, but $6 a bracelet, I guess we'll say, to like pay somebody else to come in and make these bracelets. So it's really important to, when you're thinking through your products, whether it be smaller value products or expensive products, thinking through the long term, what does this look like? Yes, right now I'm just making one and selling one, but what does it look like when I'm selling 1,000? And think through the cost of that and make sure that you incorporate that cost into the initial price of the item.
Oh yeah, that's why proper planning is so important when it comes to pricing. Really anything business related, you got to have proper planning. You got to take the time to plan properly and say, what are we going to look like 5 years from now? What do I want to look like 5 years from now? And how do I prepare myself now to be able to look like that in 5 years? So if I'm selling that bracelet and it's going to take off, I have to make sure I'm pricing it properly, so that if I have to make an adjustment, it's not a drastic adjustment and I will scare my customers away. Because you're going to make price adjustments. The market's going to change. The market's going to shift. Something's going to happen. So a price adjustment is going to happen. But if you don't want to make drastic price adjustments, you have to make, I call them slight pivots. Slight increments. Yeah. So, if you do the proper planning ahead of time, you're able to make those slight increments with virtually no effect on your sales.
Yeah. Yes, which is so incredibly important to plan. We talk about planning all the time. And I think, a lot of people start businesses because you're like, oh, I really love these bracelets, and I see the people are asking me for bracelets, and they're so fun to make, or I'm great at making tables, carpentry, and I want to do cutting boards and all these things. And they get to where then they do really well, and then there's a high demand, and then they're like, oh no, what do I do now? Because now I have to pay an accountant and pay taxes, and I get a booth at a place and pay rent there, and it just all adds up. So really and that's the importance of creating a business plan too, is this helps you think about all of that up front so that you can properly prepare for it. And if you've never done this before, how are you expected to know what the heck you're supposed to be thinking about?
Right. But just know, as long as you keep this in the top of your mind, that as you grow, your costs will grow. Your costs will increase as the business grows. So you got to make sure that you're setting yourself up to be able to manage those cost increases while you sell more. Because if you sell more, you want to work less.
Yes. If you sell more, you don't want to work more. You want to sell more, and you want to work less, and you want to make more.
Yep.
That's the goal. Sell more, work less, make more.
You do it right. You build a tribe of loyal customers and clients, and you find yourself ringing that chime while you're sleeping.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into products. Services. We did products. We'll do services. Yeah. So if you're a service-based business, how do you pick your services and how do you price them?
Well, I mean, your service is probably already picked if you know what you do, right? So if you're a landscaper, electrician, a bookkeeper, lawyer, you're providing a service, right? So your service is that. You're cutting grass, you're setting up somebody's electrical service, you're fixing somebody's pipes, or you're doing somebody's bookkeeping, and you're representing a client in court.
You're
That's
an influencer. Let's talk to the younger generation, because that's what they understand. You're an influencer.
Your service is creating amazing content for whatever customer you're representing there, right? Yeah. That's your service. So how do you price that, right? What I think in the service industry, value-based pricing, your value is what is going to help determine the pricing. And you have to be able to, express what your value is. What are you providing? What is the value that your client or customer is getting from that?
Yeah.
So think about your value. What sets you apart from the competition? Because you're not the only one doing it, right? There's nothing new under the sun. What's going to set you apart to provide that initial value? And then you can determine what the pricing should be from there.
I love it. I just realized we haven't heard from any of our peoples yet. So I'm going to play a video from Lorneth from the BBB, and she has some good tips for us. So we're going to go on to Lorneth, and then we're going to get back into the conversation. We're going to talk more about pricing for services.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone. It's so great seeing you all again. My name is Lornette Peters, Director of Marketing and Communications at the Better Business Bureau, serving Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. My tip for the week is all about Facebook Messenger. Let's face it, most business owners are still involved in Facebook to some level. You're still on Facebook, you're still receiving messages from Facebook, and scammers understand this. So they're trying as much as they can to get sensitive information from you. One of the top scams that we see on Facebook is an email or Facebook message from someone that says, "Hey, is this you?" You click on that message, and what happens? The scammer is able to download sensitive information from you because they have a malware on your phone or on your computer after you open that particular message. So we want you to always be careful before opening any message on Facebook Messenger and on Facebook altogether, right? So if you think it's a friend sending you a message, first figure out what kind of friend you have and the kind of tone they use when they're sending you a message. Most of my friends don't just say, "Hey, is this you?" They're like, "Hey, Lornette, what you doing? What is up with this link?" And it depends on your friend and the way they communicate with you. That's the first red flag if they're just saying, "Hey, is this you?" That's not how your friend communicates. I know if I receive a message from Kacie or John Crespo, right, on Facebook Messenger, they won't say, "Hey, is this you?" They'll provide more detail, or they'll actually just text me and say, "Hey, girl, I just saw this on Facebook. Is this really you?" So always be careful. Don't open any link from someone you're not sure of, or don't open any link if you think it's suspicious. And that is my tip of the week. Until next time, have a great week.
I get those all the time.
We're back. We love Lorneth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true what she's saying, because I get those Facebook messages a lot. A lot of people's pages get hacked, and then they send these creepy messages saying, "Hey, I got a video of you. Click here," or something like that. So you got to be careful, man.
Or so-and-so died. I'm so sad that you lost so-and-so. Check out this out. And click,
You be careful with that stuff.
Craziness.
If it seems out of the ordinary, reach out to them directly before you click on anything.
Yeah.
Save yourself that heartache.
We've had so many businesses. We're pushing the text club right now. I think we did a whole podcast on that with Christina, actually, pushing the text club, because I've seen so many businesses that have clicked on the links accidentally, and then they lose their entire Facebook and they never get it back. So you got to be careful about that. All right. So we're talking about, let's say hi to some peeps first, because we got Miss Christina.
What's up, Christina?
What's up, girl? Game Gear says, "Boo homework."
Boo homework.
I don't blame you. It's good, fun homework, though, when it's stuff that you actually want to do.
For real. It ain't algebra, man.
Hey, Auntie Bones from California. She says hello.
Hello.
Greek Piper is watching us also. What's up, Greek Piper?
What up, Greek Piper?
All right. So we are in the middle of having a conversation about services. Thank you.
Pricing
I keep forgetting.
services.
So glad you're here. That's why you're here.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Y'all miss me?
Why don't you go into really quick the difference between value-based pricing and cost?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yes.
So there's several different pricing models, but the two main popular ones today are cost-based pricing and value-based pricing. So, or cost plus and value-based. So cost plus pricing is where you're taking the cost that it takes to build your product or perform your service, right? You're taking that cost and then you're adding a percentage on top of it for profit, right? You just say, all right, in order to make these microphones and these microphone stands, it cost me $5 a microphone, right? All in. So all the manufacturing, the selling, the tax, all that stuff is $5 a microphone. But I want to bring home $10, right? So I'm gonna add $5 to the price so I can bring home, I'm gonna bring home $5 off of that price. My profit's gonna be $5, so I gotta add $5 to the price. So I'm selling these microphones for $10. That's cost plus pricing. That was a lot.
You got it. You made it through.
Value-based pricing. Now this is important though, because mostly for service-based industries, you're gonna want to do something called value-based pricing. And value-based pricing is when you're performing your service and you're doing something that sets you apart from everyone else, right? That would attract clients that want to do business with you, right? So if you're going to provide the additional service that sets you apart, then you have to make sure you're pricing it accordingly so that the client sees the value that they're receiving and you're getting your worth. So it's basically your pricing based on the worth that you're providing. So you have to make sure that you pay very close attention. You do a lot of research on what the market is doing, how you're going to set yourself apart, and what does that value mean to you, right? And then you price it according to that. That's value-based pricing. And in today's market, in the service industry, value-based pricing is really the way to go.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're providing value to your clients so that they stay with you, but you're also pricing for that value.
I have an example. It was in a book that I read, but I don't remember what book it was. I'm a great podcast host here.
Do your own research.
Yeah. If you guys know the name of the book, put it in the comments. That would be awesome. It talks about how a guy, we'll say it's an electrician. I'm so bad at telling stories. He is, a business calls them and like their whole plant shut down. They're making widgets or whatever. And they're like, our whole plant shut down. We need an electrician. And so they call an electrician and he like spends 2 minutes and like looks at it. And then he flips a switch and then he's like, there you go. That'll be, $5,000. And the guy's like, $5,000? That's crazy. You're charging me $5,000 just to flip a switch? And he's like, no, I'm charging you because I knew which switch to flip.
Yep.
I'm charging you $5,000. So that value of that electrician has hours and hours and hours and hours, thousands of hours in experience and learning his trade to where he can, yes, it took him, 10 seconds, but his experience was very valuable. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a good example of value-based pricing, because let's just say they didn't hire him that actually knew that piece of equipment and how to fix it because maybe that was his specialty. He knew that. He spent years of training and education around that. They would have hired another company that didn't have that same type of experience, and it would have taken them hours and hours and hours to figure that out. So it probably would end up essentially costing that client more, because they probably would have ended up fixing mistakes and all that stuff, and versus his little 5-second fix. So, you have to look at when you're doing value-based pricing, I'll use him as an example, make sure it's true value.
Yeah.
Right? Make sure you're truly providing value. You put that work in, you put that education in, you're the expert in what you're doing, so that value is then
you can go in and do it in 10 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I think people need to think bigger picture with this also, because that electrician if you would have hired the one that only charges $100 an hour to go in, but it took them 3 days, you're also losing the money in your production. You're losing 3 days worth of production, which could equal way more than $10,000, you know? So I think but you're reversing the roles. You're the person providing the value. So knowing, being an expert in what you do, knowing what you can save them. Do you save them time? Do you save them money? Do you save them? Is it convenient? So knowing exactly what problem you're solving for them and how you're making their life easier, and then pricing based on that.
There you go. Love it.
Yeah.
Hope you have a good understanding of the two different types of pricing models, because you're going to use it. You were going to say something.
And one thing to consider too is, we talked about a product, and I think a product is sometimes easier to price because you know the cost of what it actually costs you to make that product. But I think with services, it's a little bit harder because it's time. It's time. And time is like, is it $75 an hour? Is it $10 an hour? Is it $125? And then the more you get better at what you're doing, you might start off at a lower price, but as you get more experience and more, jobs under your belt and can provide more value and do it faster, then you can charge more.
You can charge more. Exactly.
Yeah. It's very hard to figure that out.
I think a good thing when it comes to value. So essentially, if you're providing a service, right, in the beginning, you want to cast a wide net on the client you're going to service, right? Because you want to get the feel, get experience, and get all that stuff. So you're going to cast a wide net. But as you grow in your business and as you mature, you want to kind of like niche down on the service side of things. Niche down to become an expert in the area, because then that's when you can truly charge what you're worth.
Yep, that's the goal. Niching down. All right, Morgan says, good morning. What's up, Morgan? What up, Morgan? How's your stuff going? ESM says, good morning. What's up? Good morning. Morgan says, this standard in the massage industry is charging per time, and people are always searching for the cheapest hourly cost. It's hard to explain the value side of it to clients in our industry. Yeah, so Morgan does massage, and what I think that she's saying is they look for the cheapest, like to them a massage is a massage. Like, I just want to go and get a massage. And so they're like, I only want to pay $60 an hour for a massage. And so they go find that, but they don't realize that what Morgan offers in a massage in an hour may give you 100 times more relief, or you might have to do 100 massages in order to get what that cheaper massage got. So yeah, that is it is definitely, when you're in the service industry, it is hard. That is the challenge. And the better you can do that, the better you're going to be. Is, how do you communicate that to your customer, potential customer?
That's exactly what I was going to say is, in the service-based industry, you have to figure out how to communicate your value. Like, you have to be able to package that and present it in a way so that because there's an educational portion when it comes to value-based pricing. You have to educate your clients on the value they're receiving. So being very forthright and saying, hey, here's the value that you're getting with the service that we're providing, and kind of like showing that value up front is important to kind of like helping in the educational process.
A lot of times too, you can use experiences from happy customers to help them create that language for you. Because a lot of times what happens, we see this with my other business a lot, is a customer will go with another company because they think that it's better, it's cheaper, they did this whole sales pitch on them. So they'll go with another company, and then they'll come to us and be like, I just lost like $4,000 I spent on this other company and I got nothing. And so it kind of, once you get working with them, you could be like, okay, tell me a little bit about like what value did we provide versus that other company that you were going with. Can you help us put this in words? Or even do a testimonial video for us. Those testimonial videos are really great. So I think using the language of the people that understand what you offer and what you do provide is also a great way to do that, because they're living it.
100%. Everyone should be looking for client testimonials. Get them. Get them, share them, post them, because People want to see that. There's so many people like nowadays, you know, if you're looking for a good place to eat, if you're looking for a good barber, if you're looking for something, you're going to look for reviews and you're going to look for client testimonials. Like that is what's going to kind of like help in your decision-making process. Hey, how many 5 stars, you know, what's their rating, you know, before I go there. So getting those and getting clients to rate you as many 5 stars as possible, you know, that goes a long way in educating on your value.
Yeah. She said the service industry relies heavily on client reviews and referrals.
That's right.
100%, girl. And I think slowing down and being intentional about capturing those.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we're afraid to ask. We're like,
we are.
Yeah, we're afraid to ask, hey, can you give me a review or can I record you talking about, and it's okay if they say no, you just give them the option. But some people, you'd be surprised. There's been people that I've asked that I'm like, they're never going to do this. Mm-hmm. And I dread asking them, and I ask them and they're like, yeah, we would love to do that. We would love to share. Yeah. So you'd be surprised at what happens when you ask. We get to listen to Christina.
Yeah, this is a good segue because this is going to be about tech stacking, mm-hmm. and there's something that we can do to help automate the review request process.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Through
all right.
Technology.
We're going to hear from Christina really quick, and then we'll be back and we'll talk about some other things and close her out. All right?
Hey there, it's Christina Stubblefield, digital marketing strategist and business coach and co-owner of Sew-In Media Group. Today, I want to talk to you about something that's a struggle for many small businesses, the ever-growing tech stack. A tech stack is just a collection of software and tools your business uses to operate. Things like CRM systems, project management tools, and communication platforms. But here's the thing. As you add more tools, things can quickly spiral out of control. Onboarding new clients becomes a tech boot camp. Switching between tools eats up valuable time, and your data ends up scattered and inconsistent. That's why it's crucial to conduct a tech audit. Take some time to list out every single software and tool your business uses, no matter how small. Then ask yourself, are you really using it? Does it align with your current needs? And are you getting your money's worth? You might be surprised at how much money you can save by consolidating functionalities into fewer, more robust platforms. So, take charge of your tech stack, streamline your workflow, and watch your productivity soar. I hope that you found this tip helpful. If you would like to connect with me, just visit my website, ChristinaStubblefield.com.
We're back. John was just talking about Hub 931.
Hub 931. We're getting ready to open that sucker April. So we're excited about that. Yeah. It's gonna be a game changer. But we're just making sure it's right.
He's got a whole building that he's working on, an office space. We're going to move our podcast and all the things. And we're going to work on tech stacking and consolidating into fewer programs. I feel like I can relate to that so much. Christina is actually the one that helps us. Sew-In Media Group helps local and the business project with all of our technology stuff. I drive her crazy. Every time I message her, I'm like, she doesn't want to hear from me. I've already sent her 5,000 emails today.
But if you need help, that's a good person to reach out to.
100%.
So definitely reach out to Christina for that stuff. Yeah. As she was talking about tech stacking, how can we relate that to, stuff that we don't want to do in our business, like getting client reviews? Like we don't like to ask that question. You can automate that process. Right?
Look at you go, John.
If somebody comes in and gets a service done, let's use Morgan as an example. Somebody goes in and gets the massage done, gets that therapy done. You plug in their name in your system, right? And then as they leave, they automatically get a message saying, "Hey, rate us. How was your experience?" 2 seconds, and there you go. You kind of generate more reviews that way.
Next massage.
Yeah,
you can give incentives too. That way you will get more, and it brings them back again.
Boom.
Yeah. ESMM says it's very difficult to make clients understand the cost for quality services provided. 100%. We agree. ESMM, will you tell us in the comments about what your business is? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. Game Gear says so excited for the new business. We are too. It's going to be great.
That's right.
Yeah. So our little background, we're kind of in a temporary space right now. It's in a huge warehouse, and I feel really bad because we make them be quiet. They're like, they've got all these loud forklifts and
well, they're going to be happy. We don't have to worry about being quiet anymore.
yeah, they're so amazingly awesome though.
Yeah,
YAPAC Outreach, great organization.
Love YAPAC.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything you guys do.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. So we talked about, if you guys are just tuning in, we talked about sell more, work less. I'm looking at our little notes behind the camera. Sell more, work less.
Yes, that's the goal.
Make more money. We added one on to the end of that. That's the goal. And you do that by thinking ahead, planning ahead, really being cautious about your pricing, and knowing the difference between a product and service, offering a variety. So we talked about all of that today.
Focusing on your sales funnel. Getting feet through the door.
And as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, we have all of this laid out in a course, in a video course with homework and printables, and there's a business plan template that's super simple. And so if you go over to the Business Project website, then you can create a free account. So lessons 1, 2, and 3 are completely free. There's lots of other cool videos in there. And so you can head on over to there and you can get this in more detail. One thing that we go into a lot more detail about on this specific lesson in the Business Project courses is talking about goal setting, because they're very closely related to creating your pricing and setting goals for the future. So we do a whole segment on that in the actual course.
There's even like pricing calculators on there to help you figure out pricing. So there's a lot of great resources on thebusinessproject.com. And what's great as well is that it gets updated.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like it stays relevant. You will always be able to refer back to it.
We don't use it to sell things. So you don't have to go there. One of the things, love YouTube. There's a lot of great things on YouTube, but a lot of times I hate when I'm like trying to learn something and then I get to the end of the video and they're trying to sell me something. Right. I hate that. And so the Business Project website is all about, there's no upsells. Like you either get the free account or you can get unlimited for $19 a month. And like, that's it. There's no other thing.
Yep. Too easy.
Yeah. All right. So we heard from Lorneth, love her, heard from Christina, and I'm waiting for ESMM to tell us what they do, because I'm interested in that. Maybe we'll go over that next time. If you guys are not watching us live, you're watching us afterwards, or you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio, any of those other places where we blast it out after the live video, we would love for you to just join in live on Fridays. It's not Monday, it's Friday. Thank goodness.
Good Friday today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Everyone have a great Good Friday.
A great Good Friday. We would love for y'all to pop in. This whole podcast, the purpose of this was to be conversational.
Yeah.
We used to do it recorded and post it, and just this year we started doing it live because we want to hear from you. We want to be able to have a conversation and learn about what you guys are struggling with or celebrate successes. And so we would love if you would join us Fridays, 9 a.m. Central Time. But if that doesn't work for you and you listen to the recordings, that's 100% great to circle back and ask us some questions, send us some messages. You can get involved that way.
Yep.
All right. Is that it?
That's it.
That is it.
That's it for today.
You guys have a wonderful weekend.
We'll see y'all next week, and happy Easter.
Yeah.